Hello, this is Miles Tullo bringing you the JD Power Financial Services Intelligence Update for October 2024. This month we're covering small business banking. We've just released our latest small business banking satisfaction study focused on small business decision maker satisfaction with their primary bank. Paul McAdam leads JD Power's small business banking practice and has joined me today to explain the upswing we are seeing in satisfaction levels. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Miles. Happy to be here today and discuss this important and growing line of business for banks.
Excellent. So, Paul, let's start with how small businesses are feeling about their banks today. Can you explain how they're feeling for our audience?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, they're feeling good. We had a really strong improvement in satisfaction this year for 2 years in a row. Small businesses are feeling that their banks are being more client-centric, more proactive, and more personalized. And part of this is small businesses are generally feeling that they have good access to credit, which is always important for the growth of these businesses. And overall, they express an increased likelihood to reuse the bank the next time they need a banking product or service. So a lot of positives here.
Those are a lot of positives. And it's interesting as we speak with our small business banking customers today, they're telling us that they have a rejuvenated interest in the space, right? Not that they ever gave up on the space, but just there's more energy around it. Why do you feel this combination of small business and small business banking provider interest is happening?
Well, I think it's really part of what you said. There's a lot of energy. Banks are increasingly looking at this line of business for growth. Part of the reason is we do have small business, new business startups have really remained strong as we've come out of the pandemic. And banks are interested in deepening relationships with these businesses because more often than not, they also have a personal relationship with the bank. So, small business is also retail banking in a lot of ways. They work together.
Yeah, that's a long-standing combination, right? And we're talking about small businesses, basically dollar in revenue to 20 million. Is that correct?
To 20 million is up to 20 million is where we're at in this study. Yes.
Yeah. So which banks performed best in the study this year serving that audience?
So the top five in this year's rank chart are Capital One, the number one award winner for 2 years in a row, followed by Chase, Regions Bank, Huntington, and Bank of America. And so these top five banks, I mean, they're performing well. We do see that small businesses feel that Capital One and Chase are ahead of the pack. Their scores are higher. These two banks are very consistent. They have a really well-balanced service levels, incorporating personal service and digital. Small businesses like the products and services. When there are problems, they're resolved effectively. Those couple banks are really performing well.
Sure. And all banks can do better, right? Even the top performing banks. Is there something consistent across the industry that you saw in this year's results that all banks can learn from and do better with?
Looking at the bottom third of the rank chart, we see some patterns where, the banks that are the lower end of the rank chart, many of them had good years, having nice satisfaction improvement. But when we look at them collectively, they're lagging in a couple competitive fundamentals. One is proactive communication with small businesses about how the bank's products and services can meet the business needs, all right? Providing advice and guidance on how to save money and how to avoid fees and these types of things. Small businesses really want information from their banks. And we see higher performing banks really hitting the mark there. And this is an area where the industry as a whole can do better in a lot of ways. We also see banks missing the mark on fee communication. Small businesses are telling us they're still they're still pretty significantly impacted by higher costs for material and labor. So they're really tuned into fees, and some banks are missing the mark on explaining fees, really explaining how the small business can avoid fees. And these types of measures go a long way. I mean, small business clients are going to pay fees, right? They just do. But they really do appreciate if they understand how these things work and how to avoid them or reduce them.
And how important is the relationship manager in those communications?
The relationship manager is important. Now, not all small businesses have one. But we see that relationship managers are increasingly supplemented by digital communication and digital tools that are available on the website. Being provided more content to work with their small business clients. So relationship managers are important. And this year, in fact, we saw small business satisfaction with relationship managers really move up very nicely over the prior year.
Great. Well, Paul, thank you for joining me today. The J.D. Power Financial Services Small Business Banking Satisfaction Study is available now for subscribing customers. There are more details in the post in the link below, including a link to our press release. I'll be back in November to discuss findings from our newest research on consumer satisfaction with bank and credit card issuer fraud protection and resolution. And we'll see you then. Thank you.